Good morning. This presentation is prepared by Sir Devon, myself, Miss Angela, Miss Angelina, and Sir Shamar, and we are from the St. Louis Center in Region 10. Our topic focuses on the respiratory system, an essential biological system responsible for supplying the body with oxygen and removing carbon dioxide. Through this presentation, we aim to explain the major organ involved, describe how breathing occurs, and highlight the importance of maintaining a healthy respiratory system. This assignment is intended to demonstrate our understanding of the topic and to provide clear, accurate information in a well-organized manner. Okay, so in order for us to create our respiratory system, we had to use markers, scissors, silicone paste, bounty tissue roll, foam paper, tack, screw, nail, white paper, and marker for the labeling, cardboard also. The first thing we did was the shaping of both of our lungs. We cut it using a jigsaw. After that, we paper it using cardboard paper and put foam on top for the different decoration. We use white paper to do our labels and border it with markers. We also use the tacks to do our borders around each lung and screw to hold it to the bottom. Now over to Sir Devon, who will explain the respiratory system.
I know most of you have known how, probably get an idea on how the respiratory system function or work, but I have some more detail for that. The respiratory system is the body system that helps us breathe. Its main job is to bring oxygen into the body and remove carbon dioxide. A waste gas, air enters through the nose or mouth, where it is warm and filtered. It then travels down the trachea or the windpipe, which split into two bronchi, each going into a lung. Inside the lung, the bronchi divide into smaller tubes called bronchioles, ending in tiny air sacs called alveoli. The alveoli are where gas exchange happens.
And then oxygen moves from the alveoli into the blood, and carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli to be breathed out. The diagram, a dome-shaped muscle below the lungs, helps with breathing by moving down when we inhale and pushing up when we exhale. Overall, the respiratory system works with the circulatory system to supply oxygen to the body and remove waste gases so we can live, move, and stay healthy.
Also, I know one of the questions I was asked to myself, how would I use this nice masterpiece to teach in my class or teach the children? I will use this three-dimensional respiratory system model to teach my students about how the respiratory system functions. I will show them the model and explain what it represents. I will point out each structure and while describing its role. For example, how the trachea carries air to the lung and how the lung expands and contract during breathing. Using the model movable parts, I will demonstrate the process of inhalation and exhalation to make the concept more visible and interactive. Students will be encouraged to examine the model closely, touch and rotate it to gain a hand-on understanding. Throughout the lesson, I will refer back to the model to answer questions and review key points, ensuring the student can clearly visualize and remember the structure and function of the respiratory system.
Okay, sir. So moving on, I have a question to ask. I would like to know, how does your... Okay, sir. So I have a question to ask. I would like to know, how does the respiratory system get oxygen to your body tissues?
Okay, Miss, I'll answer this. is inhaled, it travels down the trachea and the bronchi to the alveoli, which are tiny sacs at the end of the bronchial tubes. Here, oxygen moves through the membrane into small blood vessels called capillaries. The blood then transports oxygen to tissues throughout the body where it is used for energy. And that's how the respiratory system gets oxygen to your body tissues. So, I have a question. Can lungs float?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, so yes, lung can float on water because they contain thousands of tiny air sacs called alveoli. These air sacs trap air each time we breathe, making the lung light and buoyant. Since air is much lighter than water, the lung naturally rise and float when placed in water. This floating ability even helps show that healthy lungs are filled with air. However, if the lungs are damaged or filled with fluid instead of air, they may become heavier and sink. And yeah, so that's about it. So how the lung can float, or the reason of how lungs can float. And I'm very curious to know, what is the main job of the diaphragm? What do you guys think?
Okay, allow me to answer that. So, the diaphragm is the main muscle responsible for breathing and is a dome-shaped muscle located below the lungs, as you can see here. So, its primary function is to contract and move downward when we inhale, which increases the volume of the chest cavity and allows air to be drawn into the lungs. When it relaxes, it moves upwards and the lungs exhale air, and that's about the diaphragm.
Nice. So we have Sir Shamar, who will have answer a question for you guys. I will be virtually, and